Welcome, man, entrepreneurs, legacy leavers, and family leaders. I am so pumped for today's interview that the fact that I get to interview who I'm going to interview, man, I'm really excited for this one. Namely because this is one of the only times where I actually have this franchise like a block from me. I'm not right now, not kidding. So, and I've been there multiple times, and so I'm just pumped for this one. I know you're excited for this one, and it's going to be good. I'm interviewing today the VP of Franchise Development for Ziggi's Coffee, and this is one of my favorite, if not my absolute favorite, coffee shop because of a couple different things, and we'll unpack that together in our live stream today. Ziggi's has been, they've been serving different communities all over the States for the past 20 plus years. And we'll get to that story a little bit more. But they have been recognized time and time again. The first time was by the top 5,000 privately held companies, and Inc. magazine was back in 2020, and then just regularly, consistently since then. Right now, as of to date, they have over 85 locations open with over 250 in development across like 30 plus different states. And actually just like last month or this month, I don't know, recently just notched their biggest deal yet of over 50 plus stores in development across the Atlanta metro. And like, we're going to unpack all that and what that looks like and what that means. So I'm excited to dive into this brand. They're constantly launching new products. Like, I'm pretty sure they just came out with this like energy drink thing. And so, man, this is an exciting brand that's constantly growing, constantly developing. And this is the right time to jump in as a business owner to get your piece of the pie with this family, with the Ziggi's brand. It's going to be a good one. But today I have the honor and the pleasure of introducing to you Justin Livingston, again, the VP of franchise development for Ziggi's. He's been in franchising for well over 2 decades, not just with Ziggi's, but with a number of different brands that he's helped develop all over the world, like in several different countries. So it's pretty exciting stuff. And on top of that, he and his wife are actually owners of a few locations too, which we'll share some of his story and what that looks like for him and the success that they've seen. And even beyond that, he's also founded a Colorado-based nonprofit called Giving Brands, which I know he's excited to share with you. And they raise funds for local charities in the communities they're in. And they've raised over $1.5 million to date across all their events and what they've been doing. It's incredible. So like, I share all of this to say, this is one of, like, without a doubt, like, he's got a wife, he's got 3 kids. This guy, without a doubt, truly embodies what it means to be a legacy leaver and a family leader. He is one of the highest achieving entrepreneurs and business titans that I've ever met, whose first passion is people over profit. And so it is really an honor to be able to spend some time with him today and introduce him to you and Ziggi's to you. So without further ado, let's get into it. Justin, how are you, my friend? It's good to see you.
Jared, good to see you, buddy. I tell you, I've spoke at things all over the world, and you're the best intro I've ever had. I need you as my hype man all the time. I appreciate that.
There you go. There you go. Hey, you give me a lifetime supply of Ziggi's coffee, then I might consider that.
So the deal to be had.
Yeah, it's as good, man. Well, it's easy. It's easy to be hyped about a brand that you genuinely love yourself and a brand that's just killing it, and you're excited to see it grow and to know you could somehow be a part of that. Like, that's exciting to me. So it's easy to bring that energy in here as well. But welcome to the best Facebook group across the entire meta universe. Franchise opportunities for legacy leavers and family leaders. Man, I am so pumped to unpack your story. And so let's just start there. Can we start with your story? Introduce a little bit more about yourself. And I know I shared a couple of things up front, but even just unpack that a little bit and let's hear who's Justin.
Yeah, thanks. I'm not sure I can do as good a job as you did, to be honest, but yeah, franchising's always been in my heart, man. When I first started this, I got into a franchise concept where just the idea of giving somebody an avenue, a path, riding shotgun, a roadmap, a recipe, choose your analogy, to be able to fulfill their dreams, to chase after that American dream. There's no greater honor in the world. And I've been doing it for, as you said, 2 decades, a little gray in there. That kind of dates me a little bit, but we've been doing this a long time.
At least you still have hair. I mean,
you never had a bad hair day, Jared. So that's all right. So,
there you go. But never had a good one either, but there you go.
Yeah, that's right. Doing this for me is it's an opportunity to have kind of balance in life. It's about pursuing our dreams, leaving our legacy, being the best partner and dad and business partner that I could be, while also providing an opportunity to help people achieve that journey and set off on that adventure that is business ownership. So been doing this for a long time. Between me and or my team, we've helped thousands of people across, I think, 12 countries get into business for themselves. I've been mostly on the Fran Dev because that's where my heart is, man, providing that opportunity, talking to somebody at that moment in their life where they're thinking about taking a leap and doing something. Maybe it's their first location and they've been dreaming about this their whole life, or maybe it's location number 50 and there's still some trepidation on, is this the right choice? Is this the right fit? And so I love shepherding people through that journey to making a decision. And then, as you said, my wife and I, we embarked on the journey ourselves, and this is really legacy stuff for us. In fact, the name of our companies are Legacy 1, Legacy 2, Legacy 3, as we will continue to build something that we will leave on for our kids and their future. But we've got a Coyote Ugly bar with some partners in London, which is kind of random and awesome that we have that. And then we just 2 weeks ago opened our second Ziggi's Coffee, which is, of course, what we're here to talk about today. This concept, unbelievable, family, community, giving back, being a part of being kids' first job. There's just so many things that we'll unpack later that just make Ziggi's one of the absolute, not only best brands around from a financial standpoint, opportunity standpoint, but just from a heartstring standpoint, doing something that you can really be passionate about. And my wife and I are really pumped to have our second unit under our belt and ready to rock and roll from here.
Yeah, that's so incredible. And I'm right there with you. I mean, that aligns with that's why I'm doing this too, is I'm passionate about helping people with that next chapter of life. I want to help them. Like, our business's tagline is franchise your future, right? Like, this is a next chapter, next level kind of step for people's life. And it affects not just themselves, but their whole family and generations to come. That's a big deal to trust someone with. And when you're making that decision, you want to make sure you're making the wisest decision possible and being invested into a brand that you can trust. And I truly do think that that's Ziggi. So tell us a little bit about the brand. You know, we know it's a coffee shop, but tell us a little bit more about it and what does it do?
Yeah, you know, I lobbied and I lost the bet. We call ourselves Ziggi's Coffee, but we're not a coffee concept. We're a people concept. We're an experience concept. And so coffee is what we do, although we've got one of the most, if not the most diverse menus in this entire industry, with lots and lots of focus that we'll talk about here in a second. But it's really about customer connections and authentic connections with people so that they can be, and we started a long time ago with a tagline, the best part of your day. And not only does it look good on a t-shirt, but truly that's our mission. Every customer that comes into the cafe, every customer that comes through our drive-thru, we want to be the best part of their day. We want to bring that smile. You never know what people are going through. And so we want to engage in an authentic and genuine way to try to make somebody's day just a little bit better, whether it's that cup of coffee or asking them about what their day looks like, or if they're a regular, how their kid's soccer game was yesterday, or whatever that connection can be. And that's different for every person. It's a hard thing to train. But if we can do that and then back it up with speed of service and the best menu, the most diverse menu in all of coffee franchising and really kind of one of the industry leaders, even in food and beverage, boy, we've got something special.
Yeah. How do you know when you've been successful at doing those kinds of things? Like, what are some of the metrics and measurements you use or have used or can use to identify like you've been successful in impacting people and communities?
Yeah, I think it comes down to loyalty, probably most of all. So first of all, and you said some numbers earlier. We've got nearly 300 units in development. We've got some big development deals, but we're also doing singles, right? And so I think one of the things as people kind of take their eye off the ball, they say that they're here for people, they're here for legacy, they're here to help folks, and then, oh, by the way, we're only looking for people who are going to do 50.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we like that as well. But the person who says, I've been a teacher my whole life and I'm just burnt out, or I've been doing accounting my whole life and I'm just burnt out and I've always dreamed of doing something for myself and I want to work in the store and do that, that's okay too. Who are we to define others' success? And so we need to listen to what their definition of success is and then see if we can provide an opportunity to do that. From a consumer standpoint, I mean, reviews, the fact that this concept is a rocket ship, the fact that every store we open, including Fairbury, Nebraska, Google that, we open, and this weekend they're shattering company records. I mean, shattering company records, as was the store before that, and the store before that, and the store before that, outside of Colorado, by the way. And so we get outside of our home market, and people go, yeah, but everybody knows you in Colorado. That's true. But when we open as the first unit in Iowa or Maine or New Hampshire or Nebraska or all the different states, I think we're opened in 18 now and signed in 35 or something.
Yeah.
We open, it's like the rest of the world has just been waiting for us to come, and they want the product. They want that family-friendly atmosphere. The kids are driving parents there to go to the kids' zone drinks. It's just super rad, man.
That's awesome. And you guys, you celebrated on LinkedIn or something that you just signed the biggest deal to date, right?
Yep.
And across the Atlantic. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what that's going to look like?
Yeah, it's interesting. As we, being in franchising for a long time, there are certain milestones that franchises hit. And in fact, as we all know, many don't hit some of those milestones ever. And so your first 10 stores open, that's an important thing. Your first 25 agreements signed, that's an important thing. Your first 50, 100. And so there's all these milestones where franchisors, if they're not properly, if they don't have a solid foundation, if they weren't corporate units before, if they don't have the proper capital, if they don't have the proper intentions, there's lots of those kinds of things that don't make it to. One of the things is when you start to attract these big multi-unit players. And so we went to multi-unit franchise conference, one of the best conferences out there in franchising. And we met a group who themselves had a lot of units. It's funny, you go to these shows and you meet individuals that have more concepts than you do as a franchise system. It's a little intimidating, to be fair, especially for some emerging concepts. You meet a guy who's got 100 units of something, and you're like, we've got 80, But we've hit this milestone where franchisee satisfaction, the numbers, the proof of concept out of market, all the boxes are checked. And so now not only do we get these people who want to do one or two, and that's great, but we get people who are like, wait, can I own this market? And if I don't do it now, somebody's going to. And that's starting to happen as we start to do more 9-packs and 18-packs. And now in Atlanta, mostly northern Atlanta, although they kind of span the whole Atlanta market, greater Atlanta market. But it's such a huge, unbelievable market. So many commuters, so many great communities, such a family type of an atmosphere just throughout the entire market that I'm really excited for this group. They're going to open 50. They signed and they've already started locking up locations through some of the northern suburbs. It's going to be really, really amazing for the brand and amazing for them.
That's incredible. So it sounds like a pretty diverse group of franchisees, right? You have this massive group that's just picked up a big unit deal across the Atlanta metro. But like other than that, especially single or multi-unit or whatever it might be, do you have kind of a picture or profile identity of what the kind of owners you're looking for look like? What are those?
We do, and here's what it looks like. Brandon is the founder of the company. When he and I sat down before we even franchised this thing, we said, how do we grow this? And I said, well, here's my philosophy. My philosophy, first of all, we're not going to talk about numbers. We're not going to say we're going to open as a franchise. We're going to do 50 deals. I hate the D word. And so there are lots of concepts out there that's what they'll do. They're just deal machines, and fine. But for me, I don't care if we do 1 or 100 or somewhere in between, as long as we find the right people and we meet them where they are. We listen to what they want to do, and we only bring on people who we believe in our heart we can genuinely set up to be their definition of success. And he said, yes, please protect the brand. And so that's what good brand dev folks do is they're just brand protectors. They're not salespeople. They're good brand protectors. And so we set off to do that, to protect the brand, to find the right people. We didn't target places. Concentric growth, not super important to us. So we could have the luxury of finding people, not places. And so we go through a mutual investigation process. And, there's all these people will tell you it's a lot like dating before the marriage. It's actually a great analogy. It's just been overused.
Right.
But it really is. We go through a mutual investigation. And in the end, and prospects ask this all the time, what do I have to do to get between now and the end? And the answer is we got to like each other. That's it. I got to know that you're committed to following our system. I put up against any system in franchising. Our depth of bench and support against any system in franchising. What I need to know is, are you kind? Are you a good person? Are you going to be kind to your staff? Are you going to set them up and build them up to be successful? We don't really have owner operators, or not many anyways, but that doesn't mean that they're not in the store all the time. My wife and I are always at the store, but we're there for high fives and thank yous and throwing a 20 in the tip jar and bringing our kids so that they know our family and love our family. And if we love on them, they'll love on us, and they'll go to the ends of the earth for us. And they know that we'll do the same. So those are the type of people we're looking for. The rest, it's just coffee. We've been doing that for 20 years.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's so good. And we're getting a ton of questions too about your system and model and just a number of things as well that we're going to throw in here at the end too, and get to a little Q&A, which is exciting to unpack that a little bit more too. But what does the process look like then once you find your owner? What does that process look like for that owner to get into owning a franchise? Are we talking a month, 6 months, and is there 6, 7, 8, 20 steps along the way? What's it look like?
Yeah, so once they go through our process with my team, where it's kind of that mutual vetting, we're making sure we like each other, and typically that takes a month or two. Some folks are really aggressive and get through it in 2 weeks, never before 2 weeks.
Oh wow,
that's important because it's the law.
Legally, you can't do that.
and then other folks, I've had folks that worked with us and then they went away and they did something else, or they thought about something and they went back to their job and they came back to us a year or two later, and so that process in the end took a long time, and that's okay. Again, it's not about me. It's not about us. It's about them and what they're trying to do and when they're trying to do it. It's got to be the right fit and the right time. So that process, on average, as far as working through it, call it a month or two. Then they become a franchisee, and they enter our launch program. And our support team, our launch team, it's incredible. I've gone through it, so I know from experience. We have an app that you go through, and I think I heard on our last Discovery Day, there's 342 steps. I might be off by a couple, but I think it's 342 steps from the time you sign till the time you have that first ring of the register. It's daunting, and that's every business when you set it up correctly. And so
thorough
very thorough.
That we like to use.
You're checking off. Yeah, you're checking off everything from setting up your entity to calling vendors to finding a site to working with real estate to doing designs and architectural. It depends also if you're going to do like an end cap of a strip mall, if you're going to buy land and build. I've done both. They're very different experiences, very different costs. But it's really just about following the process. And one of the things I like about Ziggi's is this app is so cool. It's on your phone, it's on your computer, and they actually lock like step, I think you get 1, 2, and 3, and they won't let you even see step 4. And the reason is me, like people like me, where I'm like, well, let me work ahead. Let me cheat the system a little bit. And all I'm going to do is order something that by the time I need it, it's changed or the city won't allow it or whatever, right? So they kind of protect people from themselves by having a very methodical process to get up and running. And that process, it can take a couple months. Gosh, it can take a couple years. Finding the right location is so key. And so one of the things we talk a lot about in that mutual investigation is just coming with patience and an open mind and an open heart. And, we want, Brandon always says on these calls, we want you to love us 10 years from now, not 10 months from now.
Yeah,
so we're not going to let people make the wrong decision.
Yeah, that's so good. Well, then what does that makes sense, and we could do as early as two weeks, get rolling a couple months. What specifically does support then look like? I want to kind of reverse this. I want to talk about what does support look like, and then we can kind of get into the cost of the investment and stuff. But what does support look like from your team?
Yeah, when I look around, the depth of bench is incredible at Ziggy's. The VP of operations literally made drinks with the founders. She's been there since the beginning. And I find that that's really uncommon in all businesses, but especially in franchising, where you have somebody that you have grown and cultured from the very beginning. She's amazing, by the way, but also has been there every step of the way. So as good franchises build systems based on mistakes that they made in the early days, She's actually been there for all those successes and opportunities to grow. And so she's been a part of crafting this. Pretty amazing. And everybody on our team has got some story, some connection.
Yeah.
Usually it's basketball because Brandon and Cameron are big basketball folks, but there's some connection to the family, some connection to the stores, some story of, gosh, I used to go there every day or every Sunday after church with my family. There's always something. Nobody just like responded to Craigslist or something, right? So the depth of bench is incredible. We do almost everything in-house. All of our marketing, for example, we're not out working agencies and trying to explain our voice. We are the voice. It's coming from within. It's really powerful. It allows us to be very agile, allows us to be very responsive, proactive and reactive, both in creating programs, but also making sure we're meeting the needs of every franchisee. It's really, really sensational.
Yeah, that's so. What does the cost look like then? Like someone's listening right now and they're excited about this. They love what you're looking for. They think that might be them. They love the support, the development, the product. They love it all. What's it cost?
So there's two different models that have very, very different costs. So we'll kind of talk a little bit about both of those. So if you're going to do like an end cap of a strip mall with a drive-through, we always do drive-through, by the way. We don't do cafes. Drive-through is where it's at. By the way, we've been doing that.
Not cafe only.
Not cafe only. Cafe drive-through, sure. If it's the right market, and it's a lot less expensive. So if you have a vanilla shell, you walk in and you've got exposed beams and a cement concrete floor, no ceiling, no bathrooms, no HVAC, you're probably about $750 total investment. If it was something before that, especially a coffee shop, that number maybe continues to go down, maybe to $500,000.
Sure.
If you're going to buy land and build, which I did on my first location, it's very expensive. Especially depending on the market. So we're here in Colorado. If you're going to buy a piece of land and you're going to build from scratch, it could be $2 million. Sure. And so, but that's the real estate investment as well. So again, a legacy play, an exit strategy, all those different things. But I would say we tell people count on $2 million. And if you live in a market where we had somebody through an economic development plan get their land for $1, I'm like, oh, come on. That's amazing. Amazing. That's about $629,000 less than I got mine for.
Wow. Right? Must be nice to know somebody, huh?
So so the range is huge, and that's okay. But really, that's what we kind of tell people: $2 million if you're going to buy and build and do that real estate play, and about $750 if you're going to do like an end cap of a strip mall to drive through.
Yeah, sure. That's great. So you've been doing this long enough now, 20 plus years, and you've been franchising for a lot of those years too. You've got to have, especially with the development you guys have experienced, you've got to have a number of franchisees who are just killing it and continue to do so. So do you have any like specific stories of success that stick out to you that you can share with us about any of your current franchisees?
Yeah, there's so many. I want to be mindful of the time.
Yeah. Right.
So we do one of the things of that same conversation that Brandon and I had in the beginning is I have something I call the conference philosophy. And that's kind of the attitude we take into the mutual investigation, which is simple. If I don't want to hang out with you at conference, you're not a good fit for our brand.
Yeah.
That's it. That's kind of our like finger in the wind.
Yeah.
And so,
easy to go that way,
so there's so many stories. There's so many stories about people doing this with there's father, daughters, there's couples, there's families where the kids, we got a family in Zeeland, Michigan, where they've got a bunch of kids and they all work at the store. It's really a family affair. Wow. And so there's lots and lots of stories. The one that comes to mind that I think about a lot, and I don't talk to them enough, this makes me think of is Steve Anderson. He was our very first franchisee. And I remember sitting with Steve and his wife, Jill, and saying, listen, you're number one. We've been doing this a long time corporately. So now we're trying to take all that and we're putting it into libraries of operating manuals and all of these things. And it's going very, very well. But you need to understand as franchisee number one, that there's going to be things that we didn't think of. And there's going to be things you're actually going to be a part of building it. And they were like, how do I sign before somebody else does?
Yeah,
and
right.
So you're either wired that way or you're not, right?
Yeah.
And so these guys wanted to do that. Fast forwards, they've got their store open. They've got a beautiful son. They've got a beautiful family, and they're involved. He kept his job. He had some flexibility. She was going to kind of run the store and realized pretty quickly she didn't actually need to be there all day, every day, but could kind of manage the team and just be that rah person that gives them more time for their family. Fast forward, they signed agreement number 100 also. They do, I think they did one with their sister, one with the mom, they've got a couple more on their own. And so they just keep expanding their empire and they're bringing their family in. And for me, I think of the opportunity for us in the future to do this with our siblings and our people that we love, and how cool it is to be able to expand not only in your family unit, but in your greater family unit, to do it with family and friends and be able to pull those people into your journey. I think that's really special. They're one of our big success stories in my mind, just because of that family piece.
Yeah. Well, that's so cool. And you're exactly right. Like, to think down the road, like my kids are all young, right? 7, 5, and 3. And to think, man, that would be so cool someday to be able to do something like that with them and to bring them in. And of course they would learn, we would learn, we'd do it together. Just that's exciting stuff for me to think about. But you're kind of doing that right now too. Or you've mentioned you have a couple already. You just opened one, didn't you?
We just opened our second one. So, we've got 3 kids. I say young kids. I don't know when you stop. Thank you. I don't know when you stop saying young kids, but we've got a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 9-year-old. And I'll tell you, one of the most influential or profound, I'm not sure what the word is, moments in my life is, it was 4:30 in the morning, and we had just completed our project. Was a long project. We bought a piece of dirt, had no utilities, needed a ton of site work. It was a municipality that had lots and lots and lots of hoops to jump through. So it was a long time, many months of driving by going, oh, that pile of dirt is still there, And so it doesn't seem real. I mean, you're writing checks, but it doesn't seem real until all of a sudden there's a building. You're like, okay. And now the building is finished. And you're like, okay. And now the concrete is poured. You're like, wait a minute. Like, there's a drive-through. And now the signage goes up. And so there's all these milestones that are really, really exciting. Our kids are just over the moon about this. And again, we talk very openly about this being a legacy play, and us trying to build something, and them watching us work for ourselves and not go help make somebody else's dream come true as an employee, but to make our dreams come true and leave a legacy. And so I think they're young, but they're starting to get that lesson and become very aware, which I think is, what a blessing to be able to do. And so we're very humbled by that. But there's this one story. It's like 4:30 in the morning, and anybody who knows you would be like, you weren't up at 4, maybe still up, but you didn't get up at 4:30 in the morning. But we were all there. Our whole family was there. It was opening day. The store was there. The staff was there. Everything was stocked, polished, shining. It was dark. And I started with a video, and I started at the street with we have a big, beautiful coffee cup monument sign.
Oh yeah.
And I walked it in, picture of the video, talking through what we're doing, the date, the time. And then I went up to our end. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about this. I walk up to our end window where there's an open sign, and my wife and 3 kids are there. And I was watching the watch, and 5 o'clock hit, and I said, now. And they opened the store for the first time. And it was just like, I mean, it was one of those, like, I'm not crying, you're crying things, where I'm just like watching all 3 of them who got up in the morning. They were excited. They bounced out of bed. They had shirts on that said owner, and they were just in it, man. And they put that open sign on, and they had as much pride as my wife and I, if not more. And that moment, they'll remember forever. We will remember forever. It was a really special time for our family. Incredible.
The fact, like, it's business, the franchising created that opportunity, that memory for you and your family and for your kids. Like, just, I'm sure that's going to be a core memory for the rest of their life to celebrate together. That's incredible, but at the end of the day, right, this is still business. So it comes down really to finances, right? And so if you could pay the bills just with a cup of coffee, that'd be great. But at the end of the day, it comes down to finances. So could you share with us a little bit about either, like, maybe what some other current owners are doing, or what, like, maybe you all expect owners to achieve in their first year or 2, or maybe anything as far as ROI looks like?
Yeah. So of course we save the real numbers for disclosure. But I think the cool thing to take away here is we just had a franchisee come on board in Maryland last week, and he did more due diligence than most. Everybody does their own kind of version and what speaks to them. Some people are very numbers, some people are very people. This guy just went to the FTD and started calling franchisees. And I think franchisees are like, well, give me the list of people to call. I'm like, no, call any of them, call all of them. I love when franchisors are like, just call these 5. It's like, look over here. Like, come on. Yeah. So this guy just started dialing. People do this all the time. They talk to all franchisees. Not all franchisees have had the same level of success. Not all franchisees, some of them are just waiting and very patiently waiting because the market is tough right now, or rates are tough, or their particular market is slow to find a location. And even the ones that said, geez, I wish this would be happening a little bit quicker, or whatever the case, would say, but dang, I love being a part of this family. Would you do it again? Absolutely. I go down to, when you talk to validation, That's the only question you need. I mean, you can talk about numbers, you can talk about stories, you can talk about sales and staff and running teams. And would you do it again? If the answer is not
That's a great
absolutely
question.
yes, run, go somewhere else. And so
Yeah.
I love that this guy did that. And I said, I think when you find it is about the numbers, and the numbers are backed up. We're one of the strongest, soon to be probably the strongest in all coffee, including the guys that have been doing this since the 90s. And it's because of that diversity in menu. It's because we've got a robust kids zone menu and every other category that you can check off. Great food. The kids zone, I think, is one of our big points of differentiation. Nobody has ever really done that. And so when our kids are begging us after school to go because they want the shark bite slushy or the campfire cocoa, that's a big deal. Coffee shops are notoriously terrible for kids. Now all of a sudden the average ticket when I go with my family, I'm $45. We had to buy a franchise just to get product. Because all of a sudden I'm not getting a $6 cup of coffee anymore. I'm getting, 2 smoothies, 1 shark bite slushy, 3 cake pops, then my wife and I's, chai and lattes and stuff. And so all of a sudden, we're a pretty good ticket. But I think all of these things combined, and the fact that every store we open seems to be shattering the record set by the last one, it's a really good time financially and otherwise to be a part of what we're doing and how we're doing it specifically. And our franchises are reaping the rewards.
I love that. And you talk about the kid zone too. And there's a couple of things I think that are unique, but I wanted to ask you kind of my last question. And I have a couple of questions too from the chat I wanted to put in front of you before I kind of share with everyone kind of a video that kind of unpacks what an actual franchise location looks like. You can kind of see, get a feel, a vibe of the place. But before that, my last question for you is like, why there's so many coffee shops, right? We could name 10 other franchise brands right now easily that are all over our community and plus some, right? Like, why should a legacy leaver, why should a family leader consider Ziggi's over some of your competitors?
Yeah, so I think there's 2 sides to that coin. The consumer side, I think, is simple. It's better product, it's bigger menu, it's more customer focused, just a better experience. And that's of course an opinion, but it's an opinion that's shared by almost everybody who's ever stepped foot in a cafe or gone through a Ziggi's drive-thru. So we're just attract more customers. And like I said, these new markets that have a lot of these competitors, there's a big competitor in the Midwest, there's a big competitor down south, up north, there's kind of some regional guys. And we walk into a market that has one of these regional competitors has a stronghold, and we open and we shatter company records, sometimes across the street from our competitors. It's just a better experience and better product and a more diverse menu. People go, I go to this coffee shop, I can get his muffin tops. Like, I want a burrito. Man, I want a scone. I want a breakfast. I want something with some substance. And I got my kids in the car. What am I going to do? A $7 smoothie that they don't like? Like, I think just having that diversity in menu makes it an easy choice for consumers. But for investors, for potential franchisees, gosh, it comes down to culture. I mean, yes, I think the numbers speak for themselves, but it comes down to culture. And even with the numbers, you take a look at a lot of franchises and even some of our competitors, and it's like our numbers are this. As long as you look at the top 5% to the top 25% to the top, like, what are you doing? Like, just here's who we are. Take it or leave it. And we have felt that way since the beginning. We don't hide the ball. There are concepts out there that go, oh, we don't charge a royalty. Yes, you do. You just call it something else. Like, come on. Like, you're not fooling anybody. And so for us, it's about transparency. And that just kind of goes back into culture and love and who we are. We're going to tell you everything we are. Are we the least expensive concept out there? No. Are we the highest grossing concept out there? Almost. We're getting there, and we're coming for those guys that are on the top. But what you really get for us is transparency. This is who we are. This is how much it costs. You're not going to buy a concept and go, oh, you said it was going to cost this, but you didn't include all of this. And now I'm running into financing troubles. Or you said you don't charge a royalty, but I see it. It's just on a different line. There's so many things. Or I see that you said that all of your stores do X amount of revenue. And now I look and you've got this divided up into so many different quartiles and so many different percentages that nobody can make heads or tails of it. There's a lot of our competitors that do all of those things. And I think just buyer beware, be really smart about your investigation, and you're looking at the item 19 and you're talking with franchisees to see if they would do it themselves. And what you get with us is just transparency. It may not be the right fit, but if it is, like, what a journey we're going to be on together.
Yeah, right. And if that's you, if you're watching this right now, you're watching at a later date, like, right now is the time to jump in on this brand to see if maybe you qualify for it. I just dropped in the chat a link to complete a qualification assessment. Take you 5-10 minutes to see if this is even a good fit for you. And if it is, we'll connect you to Justin and his team literally this afternoon. We can do that and get you rolling on your journey to be a franchisee with Ziggy's. But we have a couple questions too that came in. Adam wanted to know, as we talk about, you mentioned a couple times the diversity of your menu, right? Which is an incredible thing. But how do you manage waste with all the supplies that are in there?
Yeah, so it kind of goes back to the expertise of our team. Danny, who's a VP of operations, Brandon and Cameron, who are the founders, who are still very, very involved. You have to have the right product, right? We're not doing a lot of fresh. People hate restaurants, or they're scared of restaurants, one or the other, because the food waste is so high. And I get it. I've been a part of the food and beverage industry in pretty much every facet, and food waste is scary and it drives those cost of goods up. The way we have procured our product line and distribution and storage and all the different things, there really isn't much opportunity for food waste. We've got product that comes to you frozen. And so, you're not doing a lot of fresh stuff that you're throwing in the dumpster at the end of the day. It comes to you frozen. We've got a really robust power system that we help our franchisees set up and monitor. They cook it in these amazing Turbo Chef ovens that are kind of like, the product, the burritos come out like crispy and cooked all the way through. You used to get the microwave burritos at coffee shops or gas stations where it was like inedible on the end and frozen in the middle. And you're like, oh, these come out like professional high-end kitchen burritos and breakfast sandwiches and those kinds of things. But the methodology of buying, storing, shipping, and the power system and then the preparation, it just minimizes all that food waste and spoilage, which allows you to keep the cost of goods down. Maximize
Is the equipment then custom?
It's not custom, but it's high end. We don't take shortcuts on that. People go, I could save a lot of money not buying that, or I could save a lot of money in the countertops by just putting wood and a laminate down. Mm-hmm. We don't let people do that. We go all stainless steel. We go top of the line equipment, because again, it's about what happens in year 2 and 4 and 10, and not having to shut down every 3 years to because your equipment has failed or your counter is warped or whatever. So we make sure that we have the very, very best of everything curated to ensure you're maximizing profitability, but always staying up and running and ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and Steven wants to know, as you've been mentioned a few times, like you want to think down the road, right, long term. And you mentioned loyalty and talked about that. He's wanting to know how many people after the first term is up, after the first contract term is up, how many have or do typically stay or re-sign?
Yeah, so we started franchising in 2016, really started in 2017 with a 10-year agreement. So Steven asked me the question in a couple of years, and I think the answer will be really, really high.
Good. Yeah. I mean, if you're not shy about, hey, here's the full list of franchisees, call them all.
Call them all.
Then,
I'll tell you what's
got some pretty good
a
stuff
good
to
indication of that, because we're not at the renewal point yet. We haven't hit that 10-year mark yet. So the positive, I think, trajectory of how that's going is that people want more and more units. So it's no secret in franchising or in any business that more units is how you build your empire. The one unit is harder than two. I'm 2 weeks into experiencing that, and I will tell you it's true. 2 units is easier than 1. 3 is easier than 2, because you've got shared resources, shared knowledge, shared staff. Oops, I ran out of toilet paper, whatever it is. So you've got all these opportunities, and what you'll see in our system is that single unit folks are upgrading or buying 3-packs or 9-packs, and people who open single stores are opening second stores and third stores, and that's actually happening much, much quicker as well. So I have no thought that our renewals won't be really, really high, but I think right now it's evidenced by the fact that people are expanding to multiple units really quickly.
So what you're saying is it's the opposite of having children. That the more you have, the easier it gets. Is that how it is?
You've got a couple kids, right? I mean, it's essentially you go from man to man to zone, but in the end, the second one, you don't have the shock and awe that you had on the first one. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's true. That's very true. That's so good, Justin. That's it for today, man. I can't thank you enough for your time, your investment, your wisdom here. I'm excited to partner and to see this grow. And if you're watching right now, I want to show you a little bit of what a Ziggy's coffee shop actually looks like. You can kind of get a feel of the whole thing. And so for all of you, thanks for watching. Fill out a qualification assessment today, and we'll get you started. Until then, Justin, until next time, man, appreciate you. Thank you
Appreciate you.